When I go out, most non-alcoholic cocktails are all fruit juice and bubbles. They're great, but they can be limiting. What about NA versions of classic cocktails? You might think the obvious solution is to use non-alcoholic spirits, but here's the problem. They're wildly inconsistent. One NA whiskey might use smoke and caramel to mimic bourbon. Another uses chili and bitterness to substitute the alcoholic burn. So a recipe balanced for one brand becomes completely unbalanced with another. I want to talk about 3 grocery store staples you should have on hand for great NA cocktails. Things that bring out more of the savory, herbal, bitter, complex flavors, or are just wildly versatile. Many bartenders swear that coconut water is a fantastic booze replacement. So most people think that coconut water is just sweet and coconutty, but there's so much more going on. Grab a bottle, chill it, and really taste it as if you were at a wine tasting. Put a little in your mouth, breathe sharply through your mouth. This is called aspirating it, so that you aerate it and send its volatile aromas down your gullet. Swallow, and then breathe out through your mouth. It's actually pretty hard to describe. It has flavor that's in there, but then it's gone. It's sharp, but not too sharp. Kind of like vodka, but without the burn. There's a mild sweetness, maybe a little minerality, a touch of salt. Plus it has this nice viscosity to it that gives it great body. And it has a subtle, sweet, savory profile that doesn't register as fruity, so it doesn't overwhelm other flavors. Some really good bars just substitute coconut water for whatever spirit they use in their regular cocktails to make NA versions. Let me show you with a daiquiri. I'm going to use 2 ounces of coconut water instead of rum, 3/4 of an ounce of lime juice, and I'm just going to use half an ounce of simple syrup instead of the usual 3/4 of an ounce. Coconut water has some residual sweetness, so you don't need as much to balance out the alcohol that's not there. Add some ice, cap it off, shake, and strain. And you've got a surprisingly sophisticated NA daiquiri. The coconut water gives it complexity and body. This lets you cut down on the sugar as you're not just using syrup for that body, which is what most NA cocktails rely on. There are so many things you can do with coconut water. You could muddle some mint with it and then top it up with seltzer, lime and simple syrup for a virgin mojito, or add a little orange syrup to make a virgin margarita. To take it even further, we've got a recipe in Cocktails Illustrated called the tongue-tied. This muddles Thai basil and Thai chili for complexity, texture and heat. Thanks so much to Teak House for sponsoring this series. Their products are made from sustainably grown teak. Why teak? Turns out that teak contains certain resins which make it water resistant, so cutting boards like this one don't need as much oil or as much oiling to be stain resistant. Now, if you're into more bitter, complex flavors, you've got options. Let's talk about tonic water. Most people think of it as just a mixer for gin, but it's actually an excellent sweet bitter ingredient that can anchor an entire range of mocktails. Tonic water gets its bitterness from quinine in cinchona bark. Indigenous people of South America first used it to treat fevers. Then Jesuit missionaries brought it to Europe, and British colonialists took it to India. They mixed it with gin to make their daily malaria medicine more palatable, and that's how the gin and tonic was born. You don't need very much to add to tonic water to make a layered, complex cocktail. Tamarind nectar is a great staple to keep in your fridge. It's a little sweet with a dark, treacly tamarind bite. Add some ice to a chill Collins glass. I'm using some hand-cut ice from our ice episode. And then I'm going to add 2 ounces of tamarind nectar, half an ounce of lime juice, and 1/4 ounce of simple syrup to balance everything out. Then I'll top with 6 ounces of tonic water. That really dilutes everything and aromatizes all of those flavors from the tamarind. And then just gently lift everything with a spoon to mix all those flavors together, but don't get rid of too much of that fizz. Garnish with a lime wedge. Beautiful. Now that tamarind is balanced and complex. The tonic's bitter sweetness plays perfectly with the tamarind's sour, earthy, caramelly flavour. A really good tonic water should be clean tasting and citrus forward with some bitterness that's balanced by some sweetness. Our reviews team's favourite was made by Polar. I'm particularly fond of Fever Tree. Check out the ATK app for the full review and analysis. Another surprising combo for tonic water is to pair it with espresso to make an espresso tonic. And if you really want to level up, you can make your own tonic syrup and tweak the strength. We've got a recipe for it in the book, plus another NA cocktail, the doctor's orders, which uses tonic syrup with carrot juice and turmeric for this incredible savoury, sweet, fresh vegetal combination. Now, let's go the custom route. This is one of my favourite techniques for non-alcoholic cocktails, using tea concentrates to build other textures and flavours. So this is the Traverse City, and it's basically a non-alcoholic Manhattan. The key is making a concentrated tea that becomes your spirit substitute. I'm using Lapsang Souchong. That's a Chinese black tea that's been smoked over pine fires, so it has this incredible smoky flavour. I steep it with fresh rosemary to add herbal piney notes, and the result is this dark, complex liquid that mimics some of the depth you'd get from whiskey. One of the things we did like from trying the different NA spirits was that a lot of them had really good body, and we found that most of them used vegetable glycerin. This is a clear, colourless and odourless liquid derived from vegetable fats, and it's naturally sweet. Now this is a pro move and totally optional, but I think it's worth it because food grade glycerin is pretty inexpensive, but you could absolutely use simple syrup in its place. Check out the viscosities of water, then simple syrup, then vegetable glycerin. Water flows freely, simple syrup is slightly thicker, but vegetable glycerin is so much more viscous. It has almost exactly the same sweetness as simple syrup, but it adds that body to the drink, giving you a much more satisfying mouthfeel. For the cocktail, combine 2 ounces of the smoky tea concentrate, 1 ounce of tart cherry juice. It gives you those dark fruit notes that you get from sweet vermouth. And a 1/4 ounce of vegetable glycerin. And an 1/8 teaspoon of non-alcoholic aromatic bitters. Add ice and stir. Bitters are normally a tincture made from steeping roots, barks, herbs and spices in alcohol. Angostura is the most well known, but it's alcoholic. You could use it here, but there are some excellent store-bought NA bitters. I particularly like all the bitter. Incidentally, a glass of ice, seltzer and about 5 dashes of bitters really settles the stomach and is surprisingly delicious. Strain it into a chilled glass and garnish with a cocktail cherry. And if you're feeling fancy, you can use a sprig of rosemary that you're going to torch. That's so good. So both the tea and the tart cherry juice add tannins that give the cocktail body along with the glycerin, so it doesn't feel thin like some NA cocktails can. The result is smoky, herbal, fruity, very sophisticated. The tannins and extra viscosity give it a really satisfying texture. You get all the complexity of a Manhattan without the alcohol. We've used tea concentrates a couple of times in the book, including a hibiscus lime buck that's bright and tart instead of smoky, and a foggy day cocktail that's a super fun Earl Grey foam cocktail. So, if you want to have a non-alcoholic bar, here's what you stock it with. Coconut water for body and complexity, tonic water to provide an elusive bitter sweetness, and tea to build concentrated, creative flavour profiles. Because the best non-alcoholic cocktails don't try to imitate, they make something completely their own. If you like this episode, you will love our new book, Cocktails Illustrated. It's packed with hundreds of recipes, cocktail science, and explanations like these.